So today I'm going to show you how to make a quick pivot table out of patient information. This is a really common scenario where we have so much patient information that it really feels impossible to look at it and interpret it meaningfully. This particular data set is free from the state of Florida. We utilize this in a couple of our courses this year. This data I have pared down to include only Lee County, and I also pared down to make sure that we're only dealing with 35 years and older. The reason that I did that is this data set, as you're looking at it right now, is probably 32,000 rows of data. And when we're dealing with this in Excel, we really don't want to spend a lot of time in a tutorial spinning our bar because we're processing. So that's the main reason why I cut this down. So the first step in making a pivot table is I'm just going to click this arrow so I highlight the whole sheet. I'm going to go to Insert and Pivot Table. Now, thank you, Excel. It's very smart and it knows that my data stops here and it ends way down on line 32,000. And so I don't have to scroll down and select it all. It knows that this is where my data is, it can tell. And I'm just going to ask it to create a new worksheet, which is fine. It just means that it's going to open up a new tab here and make the pivot table embedded in that tab. So click OK. And you can see that it opened the pivot table here. I'm just going to go ahead and label this pivot table. And when you click here, it's going to show you all of the rows and columns that we had there in our prior data set. So typically when I'm dealing with a pivot table, we want to look for any dates that we might need. So if you're sorting this by month or date, that's really what should go into the columns. So you can see here, as soon as I slid that in, we broke everything into months. Now I'm going to go ahead and look for my main value, which is going to be COVID deaths. And I'm going to pull that into values because that's what I want to really look at. But I see here that it's just giving me the count of how many are completely in every single area, but I do want to separate that out by age group. So now I'm separating all this out by age group and you can see a lot more clearly, but we don't have any filters. And I think out of all this data, I really would like to know maybe if being male or female made a difference. If I was looking at this entire data set the way that it was downloaded, I would also put in county because I'd love to compare the counties together. But like I said, we pared this data set down so it's just Lee. So that's not a big difference in data. So we're not going to put that in. And then also I'm going to put resident status. Were they Floridians? Were they not? There's also some interesting information you might put in, whether it's travel related, the origin, do they know that? And there's also specific age groups here if you wanted. But for now, this looks like something that really could be very helpful and very quick. And it's just been a couple minutes and we've already created this. In order to I'm going to take this row out because you can see there's nothing there. It's just distracting in an extra line. So I'm just going to take that out. And here you can see all of your data for each age group. And you can go ahead and sort now by clicking here, choosing female, male, unknown, and sort multiple times under gender, resident status, and then look at ages. Now, one of the neat things that pivot tables do is they also allow you to do pivot graphs. So I'm going to click on my pivot table, and then I'm going to go to Insert, and then I'm going to go to Pivot Chart. So right there, this opened up a chart for me. Now, this is very neat that it just makes you a visualization like this. But in terms of the quality of a visualization and the readability, this isn't really something that I would want to present. Because you can see here, every single month is grouped up 35 to 44, 45 to 54. If you really pay attention, you can see here, we see the 2 waves in this age group, 2 waves in this age group. You can see that, but it looks a little confusing. It would be better if all this data was together. So if I was going to use this chart, I think what I would do is just take this down maybe to one age group. So I'm just going to take this down to 55 to 64. And you can see instantly this is changed to reflect what I selected in my pivot table. I can even choose, let's just maybe take males. And here you go. And you can see the first and second wave very easily. You can see the month progression across the bottom. Now, if I was really focusing on making a pivot table that's easy to read as an actual table, I would set it up the way that we had before. But I'm still not satisfied with this way of visualizing the data. So I'm going to show you one more way to do this, where if visualizing data this way is your goal, you may want to switch it up. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to choose our data set again. And I'm going to go to Insert and I'm going to find our pivot table again. I'm going to say New Worksheet. Yes, same data range. Okay. Now this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to set things up fairly similarly. Only I'm going to put age groups in columns this time. And I'm going to take event date and put this in rows. And now I'm still going to use maybe, let's see, the gender and the residence status as filters. So you can see basically what I did is I flipped the graph that we had. So now you can see age groups across and you can see the months here up and down. I'm going to click on column labels and I'm going to take out that blank that we did before just because we don't need it. Cinches everything up quite a bit better. Okay, now when I click my table and then I go to Insert and go to Pivot Chart, it's going to give me a different look. So this way, oops, let's grab the whole thing. So this way, you can see what it did is it put all the age groups together. So you can see all the age groups in March and all the age groups in April. And you can see the waves here and you can see the wave here. And to me, this makes a lot more sense in terms of looking at a pattern over many age groups. If I really want to compare the age groups, this isn't wonderful yet. So I'm going to right click and change the chart type to a line graph. And this is a little bit more clear to me, where you can trace an age group as they go through time. So I can see here that 75 to 84 is here and 65 to 74 is here. And maybe I'm comparing the waves. You can see we still have 2 waves in every single age group, but at different quantities throughout. So this has been a way to create 2 different tables in just a few minutes. They're real time. So if you decide that all of a sudden you're not going to be looking at all these age groups and you want to pare it down to just one, as soon as I take this and select one, it is going to sync immediately and just give me that data. So this is very helpful if you are searching through patient data, if you're trying to find trends in the people that are coming to you and the outcomes that you're getting in readmission issues. And you can take and put all of the different characteristics of these patients into your filters so that you can take things in and out and try to find out what has the biggest impact on your readmissions, what has the biggest impact on the way that people are discharged. Are they going home safely? Are they coming back too early? Are they going home and then being readmitted in less than 90 days? So this is really helpful, and I hope that this opens up some doors for you as a healthcare provider or manager to use pivot tables in your everyday work life to make your outcomes better.